There it is, Phoenix, downtown convention center. We are inside, trying to stay inside and not get ejected from the building. So far, so good. Fun time with Miles Simmons and Shireen Williams.
I don't get to see them a whole lot, nor do I get to conversate with them a whole lot. So it's always good, and that was a good little. We hit a lot of good subjects.
Cover a lot of ground.
Hopefully, it'll tell me some stories when it's over about you, to where I can use them on air during the week.
I am a good. I don't want to say employer
boss?
since I don't directly employ them, but
What?
yeah, I don't want to jinx myself because the next thing you know, I'm going to have to replace 2 people next week. We have very low turnover at PFT,
Right.
which usually speaks for itself. You know.
I hear you.
If I was as big of a jerk as you think I am, we would have greater turnover than we do.
That's true. It's a good point. All right, I'll give you that.
All right, the Buccaneers had some turnover last week. Tom Brady out, retiring, and he says today that he will join Fox as the #1 NFL analyst in the fall of 2024.
Wow.
Taking a year off.
Wow.
Scholarship year.
Okay.
Going to Europe.
Right.
Going to travel. Going to find himself. Going to do some ayahuasca. And I don't know. Look, he's got to transition away. And, Chris, he needs, for his own mental health, to avoid being in a spot where he goes straight to the booth. Because what has he said? I don't want to turn on tape and say, these guys suck. I'm better than they are. I should still be playing.
Right.
He has said that. He doesn't want to do that.
Right.
So if he goes a whole year, gets out of football shape, knows I couldn't do it right now if I wanted to, then that's when I think he's going to be in the best situation to understand and accept where he currently is.
Yeah, that's a good point by you. I don't know if I've really thought about that, but you're right. It'd probably be a healthier frame of mind. Just get away from it for a year, refresh yourself, patch up some of the things with your family and all that. It has been a long career where you haven't been involved in, like he said during the year, Thanksgiving, Christmas have been like non-existent to him, for the majority of his life here. So hopefully he can do that. It's exciting. And, it's I guess it gives Fox, right, a little more time to figure out what to do with Greg Olsen and all that. I mean, as we talked about last week, Greg Olsen has become phenomenal. I mean, I really enjoy the listen.
And he gets another year to hone his craft.
He gets another year to hone his craft.
Another year for
right?
people to praise him. And,
Right.
and that's what's going to be the challenge for Tom Brady.
Yeah.
People are going to be inclined to criticize and scrutinize everything he does because they like Greg Olsen and they resent the fact that he got shoved to the side.
Well, do you think that's another part of this 2024 thing? That's where my mind went when I first saw this on our little rundown, to maybe they want to get him greased up and going. He's going to do some, classes or fake broadcast games so where they get him to where he doesn't get thrown out there and they're like, well, they're giving Tom Brady $37 million. He can't shine Greg Olsen's shoes, right? I would think that's
a great
got to
point.
be a part of this conversation,
Even
too.
if he's not, and this is where it gets complicated because they're paying him $37.5 million a year.
Yeah.
I doubt they're going to want to pay him that to not actually do games, but they need to get him practice. And they need to, remember, who was it? Was it Romo and Nance years ago, like in a shed at the Hall of Fame game? Like somebody was practicing at the Hall of Fame game
Right.
away from the regular booth, but just the idea of, and I think you can't just do it on tape. You got to be in the building
Yes.
to truly
Gotta feel the
simulate. You got to
energy.
act like you're
Right.
doing it.
Yeah.
And that's going to be part of this effort. And I think Tom Brady will throw himself into it. He'll be committed to being as good as he can be.
Yep.
The question is, how good can he be? Well, I don't know. We don't know. Nobody knows. And the problem is he's chasing a guy that no one expected to be great.
Yeah.
And great for Greg Olsen, but it's a challenge for Fox and Tom Brady. It's the obligation to get him to the point where he is at maximum performance right out of the gates. No learning on the job. You better be ready to go right away.
Yeah, I understand it. I think the more I get to sit here and think about it, I think it probably is the best move for Fox, Brady, everybody. Just kind of get their ducks in a row and, make sure he's ready to go so he doesn't get an onslaught of bad media coverage if he kind of stumbles along the way early on. And, there is no rush. You got a guy there right now that you go, hey, we don't need you this second. We're okay. Greg Olsen, as you said, he's awesome. I really enjoy the listen. So,
what would you think of a three-man booth? Apparently, the great broadcasters look down on the three-man booth,
Yeah.
even though the greatest booth of all time, frankly, was Frank Gifford, Don Meredith, and Howard Cosell.
I grew
the
up
greats today
right.
don't want to do three-man booth. I don't know why. I think you could make a three-man booth work.
I mean, I grew up with Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, and Dan Dierdorf, and I thought that was phenomenal. I never had an issue with that. I know when my father first started working for NBC and doing Super Bowl 30, Steelers, Cowboys, it was him, Dick Enberg, and
Paul McGuire.
Paul McGuire, right. And so I'm not opposed to that. I guess there's times, though, when there's a really good broadcaster, like a Tom Brady, I don't know if he's great at that, but I don't want to hear anybody go, I want to hear Brady. I just want to hear that. I want to hear his thoughts. I want him to break down the game for me. So that's where I guess I understand that. And it doesn't sound like the play-by-play guys love it either.
Well, and the reality is, I think if you're going to do it and make it work, you need to have different personalities, different backgrounds. It needs to mesh together. It needs to become its own thing.
Right.
Where you get the natural chemistry, but you're not overlapping responsibilities. You don't get Tom Brady's take on the play that just happened with a PS from Greg Olsen or vice versa. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's one of the reasons why it doesn't work. But I don't think it's a way to placate the crowd that will be very upset when Greg Olsen gets nudged to the side. And that's the worst thing that could have happened for Fox. And the best thing, Greg Olsen ended up being great. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.